What's good, Lorcana fans, or Sabrina Carpenter, whoever may be out there? I am with my usual staple teammates, DJ the Zoologist Gunther, Matt Maui Logan, and Tanya Panda Momager Stone. And welcome back to the Ohanacast. This is episode 4, I believe. And we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff today. We've got another cash shifter race. We're going to be talking about our tournaments from the last week and some of the hits and misses and sleeper picks from set 5. Let's go ahead and start with cash shifter race for this week. This week we wanted to keep it set 5 exclusive. We talked about 3 blue cards, Matt's absolute favorite color. We picked the most beautiful card in the set, Mufasa, and Kuzco, the 6-drop Inkable, and then the 9-drop Sheriff of Nottingham. First of all, let's go to some of the audience inputs. First off, we have Dead Not Sleeping 44. He said, I'm going to cast Mufasa. He's the perfect trade-off for considering cost, uninkable, and effect. Also, the first sign of Inkwell interaction we're getting in the game. He said, I'll shift Kuzco with as much ramp as Sapphire gets. Making him uninkable isn't going to break the card since it's the options to ink an item or a location. And then he said, erase Sheriff. It feels like another dime target that's just not as good as Tamatoa, Ariel, or the card beside it. What do you guys think about that?
I thought Sheriff would be very good. He hasn't seemed to have made his way into any decks yet. I guess the 5 strength makes him more vulnerable than Mufasa, and Mufasa's plus side is obviously a lot larger than Sheriff's.
No. When it came to kind of my take here is Sheriff kind of goes against the game plan of typically getting to that Hiram, which is not being eroded allegedly, as everyone probably saw yesterday. But yeah, it kind of goes against that game plan, but it does give you a different option in those decks so that you're not always putting out items just to get them into your discard. So I kind of liked that they had that optional game plan there with Sheriff. But yeah, normally you're one of those 2 cards from Hiram, and then that's reducing or increasing the cost of the Sheriff to a point that you're just probably fishboning or T-bowing them away at that point.
Any thoughts on that one, Tanya?
I feel like I like Kuzco. I just don't. I think my biggest drawback for Kuzco is like 9 times out of 10, you're like giving them just ink fodder. But I think in like the mirror matchups, it's really good. Mufasa is like, I've been playing it since it came out, and I love that card. I think it's great. And I just think that Nottingham is just so underrated. I don't think it's its time yet, but I think it's coming. And Matt makes a good point that Mufasa is just overall better for the effect and the fact that it just misses all, like, except for like B prep, it misses all of like the kill spells, because it's a 4/9. So
yeah, and that's where like as a Steel Song main, it is already terrible to try to deal with Tamatoa, but at least you have World's Greatest Criminal Mind where Mufasa gets around everything like the red brawl, Medusa, unless you're ice blocking, and Steel Song is just crying, wanting to try to take this thing out.
yeah,
You're investing so much just to get rid of it.
I saw somebody double ice block play Big Sisu to kill Mufasa. It was amazing.
Yeah, did they extend the handshake right afterward?
DJ, you kind of pointed out that like playing like Hiram and stuff kind of goes against like what like the Sheriff wants to do, or typically what the blue deck wants to do, kind of goes against Sheriff's idea. And GK Warku's cast shift race kind of goes in line with what you said. His shift, he decided to do the Sheriff. He said instead of reading the items in play, he said items in the discard would be interesting, or you can switch it to have it being cost 2 less for each item. So the way to play Sheriff on 4 now is to play like a Popsicle or a Fortisphere, whatever on 2, Fishbone on 3, and another item with the extra ink, so you can play him and reduce him to 6. But if you do it that way, you don't need the 3rd item, which is kind of interesting, I think. He said that he would cast Mufasa because that artwork is godly and everything the light touches is all he's saying. And then he said erase Kuzco because he was just a menace. and then he needs to sit down somewhere. And also, this makes me math too much. I would like to go just count to 20, please.
Turn the brain off. No, I mean, that's a good kind of shift on the sheriff of, going with the game plan of putting everything into your discard. And even if you don't have Hiram to pop those popsicles, it allows you to kind of, just value out that heal too on the popsicle whenever you can, knowing
like
that it is
bodyguards
benefiting you and
force fear.
to get the sheriff out sooner.
Yeah, I like the idea of making him like Chernobog.
Yeah, item Chernobog.
Thoughts from Matt or Tanya?
I actually like the idea of him seeing the items in discard instead. It gives it more of like a Kristoff effect than yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
I would just cast Sheriff as is and erase Mufasa, so then Sheriff would be forced to see more play.
I can't stand you. All right, let's move on to the last audience one we're going to read before we give our takes. All right, the last one's coming from Metz, one of our team members who's always going to participate in Cast Shift Erase. He says he's going to cast Kuzco. I think this card is great for what he does. Making him uninkable would most likely make him unplayable. Good removal for Dime, so Tamatoa can't get it back, except for with Mufasa. He said he would shift Mufasa. I like the card a lot, but it would change what you get to pick the ink that you get back without looking. Then this would add an extra memory element. So typically, like right now, we've kind of like been shuffling and letting the opponent pick. But the way he's thinking is like we would get to pick, and they would stay in that order. So you'd have to like remember what you inked every turn, so you could pick exactly what you inked.
I like that.
I think that's pretty cool.
You guys couldn't play slower.
Oh my god!
Honestly, it wouldn't matter. It would not matter for me because the way that I stack my ink whenever I'm like playing something, like it's all disheveled. Like I'm not remembering what order everything is in, regardless.
Right. And then he said, erase Sheriff. This was a tough choice, but I like the other two cards better. I do think this card would do well in an item deck to cheat him out, but he'd be a dead card sometimes, which would feel bad. Which is fair. Who wants to go first? Matt, you can go first.
I would cast Sheriff. I think it's a underutilized card that could be easily the big bomb that the blue decks need. I would shift Kuzco. I was trying to think how you could make him better than the Simba to make it more prevalent in blue steel, but I guess they went for the 2 lore and the secondary resist effect. Maybe if he had like bodyguard or support, they love to give the blue support, it could be more useful. And then we're getting rid of Mufasa, dude. I don't like him.
I can't stand you. Okay.
Or you can make it 5.
I actually kind of cast Sheriff mostly because like they're with the, what is it, Merlin's carpet bag and then the Chromacon, not the Chromacon, but the Merlin's carpet bag, I think you have more opportunity to pull stuff back from your graveyard without having to use Tamatoa, and at least in the sense of items. I would shift Mufasa, but like I don't know what I would do to make it better, and I just get rid of Kuzco because there's tons of ways to get rid of items. So I'm not like pressed on that. I can play Hideaway, whatever. But I don't know what I would do to shift Mufasa, man. Just give him Ward. Let's go. You're not getting rid of him. Swing into him.
All right, DJ. You want to go?
Man. Yeah. So mine, I would probably say I would cast Kuzco. I think it was a welcome addition to Sapphire because they did struggle with locations in a lot of lists. A lot of times in Blue Steel, you're running Rise of the Titans, Blue Red, just trying to out it with like Hercules, Rush to get rid of Castle. So you didn't have a lot of options, and you're usually ramping to where 5-6 ink cost characters, and it's inkable, are not too hard to play. Quest for 2 doesn't have crazy stats, being a 3/5, so it's not like it's going to die to a Zeus, it's going to die to a Medusa, it's going to die to a lot of things to where if it sticks, that's great. But, for getting rid of a crucial element, like putting, as was mentioned before, like a dime into the inkwell, unless I'm getting lucky on my Mufasa or changing my Mufasa, shifting Mufasa to where I can pick what I want out, it's kind of gone at that point. The resist thing, I haven't seen it enough in play to where people have been able to pop off. It's definitely very much a win more type of thing. If you're already ahead and have nothing else to do with your 20 ink that you probably have, then yeah, giving everything like 3 resist is crazy. Or at least it's your other characters. So I think that keeps him balanced, that he doesn't give himself kind of like Cogsworth. I would shift Mufasa. I think 8 ink is not unreasonable to get to, and now Blue has some other options to deal with their uninkables in hand other than just Fishbone. Their uninkables out with Tipo. So uninkables aren't as much of a big deal in Sapphire. And then 4-9 is just an insane stat line that, yeah, questing for 4 is like the most balanced thing about him. And which is sad.
It's all balanced.
He's getting you 2 cards back from your inkwell that you're going to immediately like get back, and then even not dealing with him the turn he's played, and he gets that value of questing and getting pretty much double ink value of readying all his ink. Even then, you're going to struggle to out him with just challenging. Even like, what is taking him out other than several characters going into him when he's gotten already immense value? So my thing was just completely nerfing his stats. Sure, I'll leave him at 4 strength just to hedge that against the Ruby matchups, but that willpower has to come down. Ideally, I'm biased being a Steel Song, I'd put it down to 5, but I think 6 would be reasonable because of all else that he has going. I think he should die after he quests and gets double ink, honestly. Maybe he just gets, his effect is he dies after 1 quest. I don't know. And then Sheriff, I like the Sheriff, honestly. So it's not that I'm erasing him just because I don't like him. I think he's a fine card the way he is. But I think Kuzco I'd rather see stay than Sheriff, in my opinion.
Nice. I'll take that. For me personally, I'm going to cast Sheriff. I really think that in a certain meta, not this one because it's very fast, but like maybe in like something we saw like previously, if this card existed, we could like see like a Maurice's Workshop deck with him. That would be pretty neat. Kind of slapping him down for the freebies. I'm going to erase Kuzco. I think as a blue-red player, you have less outs to like locations and things, which also have like Maui and like Chromacon now. But for blue steel, we've got like Rise of the Titans, Hideaway, Simba, Kuzco right now. So 1 less would be like fine, especially because I want to shift Mufasa. I don't like the idea that he dies to Ice Block Medusa. And so I would simply change his stats to match Tamatoa's. I want him to be a 5/8. And I'll give Song a hard out to him with World's Greatest Criminal Mind if that's the case. Like, that is fine with me. I'll take that just so he claps Maui back. I don't like the fact that Maui lives after hitting him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll be here.
Alrighty. That's going to be Cast Shifter Race for this week. There will be another one in the Discord relatively soon, prepping for the next podcast, so please look out for that. We'll probably pick another 3 set 5 cards most likely. Let's move on to talking about our last week's tournament experience. DJ shaking his head. You want to go ahead and start off?
Sure, I'll start off so then we can just go straight positive after that. So several of us went to Ketchum Collectibles down in Huntersville for a tournament, Enchanted tournament, and I brought Steel Song. Steel Song's been doing really well, and everything's going to be kind of a rock, paper, scissors in a lot of formats. I happened to run into 2 of my 4 rounds after getting a bye 1 round, and was very humbled by that. And 3 of my 4 rounds were against red blue, which is probably the worst matchup I want to see. I played one red blue list that was running the Maurice's Workshop list with the queen, a lot more greedy. And so I was able to aggro through it and 2-0 that matchup. But the other 2 did not feel like it even had like a chance. I went out the gate as aggro as I could, and they just little C-sued, big C-sued. Oh, great, you peated me, so I can't play actions. I have all these. I got double Maleficent Dragoned after a Mufasa quest. They Maleficent Dragoned, quested with Mufasa for 4, readied their ink, another Maleficent Dragon, and I just scooped at that point.
Mufasa is fair and balanced.
Yeah, he's great. A lot of counterplay. So, no, I mean, Red Blue's a really solid list, and I think it has that reputation of being very controlling. If you take them to the late game, they're going to take the game a lot of times. Because, without flutes or locations, which I know Zach Bivens, that's why he kind of was going towards like the diversity of threats. And what was that set? 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4? Oh, dang. Where they were playing Pride Lands. That helped against Red Blue, but in this, no character was ever sticking at a certain point in the game. And then I'm sure we'll get to it, but Chicha was annoying to deal with. That and Tipo. God. Yeah, Pacha's family kind of sucks.
So rude. They're innocent.
No, I love Everest New Groove, but man, they're strong.
Well, that was fun. That was a fun thing to experience with you.
Yeah.
Tanya, do you want to talk about some of the stuff that you've been playing?
So I didn't play. I don't think I played it all last week. Because we had the Ursula set champ, but I have been testing again Blue Steel. And that's just like, it feels like really good, and then like it doesn't. So I don't know if I'm gonna go with it. I was gonna try a blue-red like heal deck, but I made Corey test that for me and it didn't go well. Shut up, Matt. So I think I'm gonna go back to blue-red. Mostly because Daisy is like a freaking nightmare. I was like trying, even with Blue Steel, like I'm playing 4 Fire the Cannons in Blue Steel, and like I just like can't out her, and so it's just like it just doesn't feel good. So yeah, no, blue red sounds like a lot of fun with a little Sisu on Inkable that just gonna like rip Daisy off the field.
Matt, want to talk about yours?
I also played Amber Steel at the Catch 'em Collectibles tournament. Didn't play any blue-red in Swiss, so did well then. And then I was first seed, and the guy who was 8th seed was the blue-red player that beat DJ in the last round for that spot. So you can imagine how it went for me as well. And I think in the last game, my hand was double Robin Hood, Pete, double Strength, and like another unplayable card after Mulligan. So I just sat there for 2 turns while he was ramping. Fun times.
Yeah.
I know that on Friday and Saturday, me, you, and Corey, we all played Blurple at some point. So that got quite a few reps from the team this weekend. And it felt like really good into a lot of decks. It did not feel good into aggro. I played Luca round 1. He won the role, godly, and then absolutely cooked me because the issue with cards that are tapped is they've probably quested unless you've tapped them with your purple characters. And then by then, it's too late. And so he was at 20 with the quickness. Ruby Chromacon is crazy. It doesn't matter how many cards they give you when they're burning you for gathering knowledge and wisdom. So they kind of cook you on that end. Red Purple felt pretty decent into that. Felt pretty decent into Song. Can't remember what else I played. I played Russ in top 4. in his, was it the blue green Clarabelle items deck. That was crazy. It was really, if the matchup felt somewhat winnable, but it was like a pseudo winnable. Like you knew that you were going to probably lose the game because in the Blurple deck, there are exactly 3 hard outs to cards. There are 2 Let It Goes and a Hades, and both the Tamatoa and Clarabelle are units. And so unless you're getting your hard outs to them, you're throwing a bunch of characters into them. And so you're going to use one and have to kill, and then they're going to drop down the other. So you'll kill the Clarabelle, then they'll slap the Tamatoa down, and you'll feel bad because you only have 3 hard outs in the entire deck. It was fun though. Really like.
What's Clarabelle's stats?
5'6".
5'6".
Yeah,
she's like pretty big. I don't know.
Yeah.
She like smacks back, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Like her ass isn't that big, but she smacks back.
How come she gets to kill Maui, but Mufasa can't?
That's what I'm saying. Mufasa's a lion. She's
Crazy.
a cow.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then on Sunday, I played Blue Steel, my baby. Unfortunately, I think it's going to get shelved for a little bit. It went well, but every single game was very, very hard. I had to try every single time. Nothing came easy. My blue-red opponent had to brick for me to beat them in Top Cut because he obliterated me in Swiss like it wasn't close. And then I lost in Top 4 to my hand being like pretty suboptimal in Game 3 to green-purple. And so like after 2-0ing him in Swiss, and so it just feels like everything, like your matchups that were really good aren't free anymore, and then the matchups that weren't good are unwinnable. Like, it's not a great feeling, honestly. So we'll be testing a lot of different things for the format. Next thing is we got some hype for the 10K, right? Team Ohana's running it back down to Atlanta next week. Luca's looking to run it back with red purple. We're all looking to do better this time. I don't know what I'm playing. Matt, do you have any thoughts or ideas about what you might do?
Probably Song or Red Purple. I think are my only 2 real options.
I think that like something red is very up there in the options for me at this point. Would you consider taking Song if you went DJ?
I mean, I've been loyal to Song since set 1, so probably I'd waffle about until the day before and then end up playing it. But who knows? Maybe I break back out the red-yellow Mufasa like I did at the Atlanta 8K, which did me well, and I'd never played the deck before, but it's a pretty easy deck to play.
Mufasa tends to do like somewhat decent into red just because of like how aggressive it is and getting its questing through. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some red-yellow decks this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah, Matt's telling me today he wants to play red-yellow.
That's fun.
I think that we'll probably see a healthy bit of like, ramp, a lot of red decks, a lot of blue-red. We'll probably see some aggro to try and counter those blue-red decks. Do we think that we'll see just a lot of like those ends of the spectrum, or do you think there's going to be a healthy mix because it's like very early in the meta? Like the 10K is going to be what defines the early meta of this set.
True.
Yeah,
I want to believe that there's going to be a mix, but I feel like people are going to end up going back to like what they're comfortable with because they want to win.
Entered in the tournament, I'm sure we'll see a lot more diversity in all these fun blue-green decks and stuff, but at the top tables, I don't know if we'll be seeing them.
Yeah, might end up probably being like the staples that have always been there.
I think like 1 or 2 might slip through just from like people not knowing how to play against it.
Yeah, that like was like the shock factor for Talisman's deck at the last 10K. Like he would just in time Jim thing on 3, like, and people wouldn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
So. I'm so excited to see what Talisman's playing at the 10K.
Yeah, I know. I played him round 1 of the 8K, and he was playing green yellow discard, and he was like, "Dang it, no one was playing like Steel Song at that event." Or red yellow at that event for the most part, and he was like, this is like one of the matchups I didn't want to see, and so sadly I just 2-0'd him. But no, he's an awesome player, and I like that he plays off meta decks and then takes it to high top cut performance. So it's always nice to see rather than just seeing the same meta deck be 4 of the top 8 or something like that.
I wonder how many times we'll see Luca on stream this time.
Over under. Over under.
That'd be so funny. I'm excited for the 10K. I think we're definitely going to see like a good mix. I feel like at the last 10K there was a good mix of different decks that were there. Like they were obviously like not all at the top tables, but there was a lot of different variations of like the same deck, which I liked, instead of everybody just playing like net decking and playing the same exact version of every single deck.
Yeah, I feel like the money tournaments are more meta decks, and like at the DLC, we get to see a lot of people bringing their favorite deck just because it's fun, and that's always cool.
I mean, we have to pay like $70+ to enter the tournament. I'm kind of looking to win.
Yeah, you don't get all the fun freebies and stuff.
Yeah, no free promo at round.
They're having prize ball this time. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Ball. Yeah, the 10K is gonna be. It was a really good time last time, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I need to give someone my foil Hades Infernal Schemer to.
Oh yeah, the artist is gonna be.
Artist to sign it. Yeah, so if we get up to House of Cards on Sunday, I'll have to make sure to give that to somebody.
We gotta tell everybody if they want their shit signed, they need to like give us their cards on Sunday.
Yeah.
Corey and I are hoping to get our stuff signed too.
The Enchanted Elsa.
Oh.
I don't know if we're gonna get the Enchanted sign. I mean, it would honestly probably just bump the value, but
for some people, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, you could get a sketch on it, get the Ohana flower on it.
Oh, yeah, honestly,
crazy.
Didn't the Rockstar Stitch artist, was that something? I definitely would have done that for mine if we had been.
At the last one, the guy, I don't remember, it was a Maleficent guy and somebody else, but he literally, they both collabed and drew like Maleficent and like the other artist, like I can't remember what he did now, but they drew it on a freaking spell ground. Like the guy like commissioned. Yeah, it was crazy. It was like $150. I was like, that's actually like not bad for them to straight up draw Maleficent Dragon, and I can't even remember what the other artist did.
Get it on my one side of the Ohana mat.
the side that you don't always play on.
Yeah, the custom art on it.
That'd be sick.
So we're gonna this is gonna be the last thing we kind of talk about today. We're gonna talk about some set 5 hits, misses, and sleepers, early picks, early impressions on the format. We've played literally one weekend. Let's define the format.
Tipo is crazy.
Tipo is crazy. We posted on the Facebook asking people what they thought were some of the big hits. A lot of people talked about Tipo.
Mm-hmm.
I played him a lot in Blurple this weekend. I know Matt tried him. We see him in all the blue-red decks. My favorite thing about him, and that DJ does not like, is the fact that for some reason in this format, because there's a bunch of little guys and crabs available, and we can make them bigger, Tipo smacks.
Yeah.
Like, he actually kills characters.
I want Chromacon Tipo control.
Tipo and Chicha kill Daisy. Because Chicha's support. Tipo and Chicha kill Daisy.
Let's go.
Tipo
double
the family's crazy. The family's crazy.
Yeah, I left a little Tipo because, red blue, they played their Tipo. I played my Ariel and sang something, and I was like, he just had a Tipo on board. All right, he might brawl it or whatever. He double Ruby Chromacons, and attacks my Ariel with a Tipo.
And I was like, Ariel, so it doesn't kill him.
And I was like, funny. These attack Tipos I was getting hit with.
It just becomes a unit. Now, side note, let's talk about Chromacon too. That card is one of the ones that I thought was personally on day one when we were kind of building for that very first weekend. We were testing that Ruby Amber princess deck, and we were slapping Chromacons and Queen's Chromacon in it. Making your guys one strength bigger changes the math a lot. Resist one and attacking for one, the changing the math is significant in this game. Making Maui kill Castle with 1, making him kill Tamatoa with 2, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember when the Chromacons first dropped, everybody was like, "Oh, they're all bad except for the purple one and like one other one I can't remember." Or the,
You don't like the steel one? The 6 cost uninkable deal 1 damage to
it deals
a character?
one. The fact that it does 1 damage is insane to me. Like it's uninkable and it's a 6 drop. Like no one's ever gonna play this card.
1 damage every turn.
Oh no,
Yeah.
1 damage. Yeah. I guess like it's the between like killing your Maui and not killing it. Whatever, but
They should have just made like all of them kind of like are inspired off of like the theme or like some other like card in the deck. Like the green one is like kind of like Mother's Knows Best constantly.
one.
Like
I think the green one's insane.
yeah, the green one's really good. Like all the other ones
Yeah.
are good. Like if they would have made the steel one better, I'm like make it have smashes effect or something. 3
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah, the
Just
green
1
one's like
damage
the
is
only
crazy.
one you can make your deck around.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do like that they're kind of leaning into these, like, hey, everybody gets one of these, and it's going to play into your theme. Some will be obviously better than others, but then even the uninkable 9 drops, because they're all uninkable and 9 drops, right? The ones that reduce the cost
Yeah.
based on effect. I think those are pretty cool if we want to kind of talk about some of those. I know, Tanya, you were talking about trying to cook with
Namari.
Namari.
Namari and Gaston would be insane in the red because I've been trying to cook red steel for I feel like 4 sets now, like since set 2, and like it's just like the oh my gosh. But I just feel like a lot of the car like we were just missing so much, but because like I wouldn't want to build it around like just like challenging and rushing and like you're gaining your lore that way essentially, and like the Namari is just crazy.
Yeah.
Reduce 2 for every card that's banished or challenges.
Opposing character that's banished
opposing
in a
character.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, and she quests for what 3 or 4? Like it's just
She has resist 3, right?
resist
It's a
3.
5/5 resist 3.
Yeah, she's crazy.
It's not going down to anything. It's a hard removal.
Yeah.
And then you got kind of a, no pun intended, unsung hero in Kristoff, who reduces by 1 for every song in your discard. And I played against a Steel Song deck, and I had to chew through 4 Kristoffs playing as Steel Song. So I had to Zeus Strength 1, pump something else up and tack into another. And then he was playing Hades. So he was playing these Kristoffs multiple times. And a lot of times it was like 2 ink maybe after a certain point. Because
So
when you're wheeling, and my goal is to wheel as well. So I'm wheeling your songs. It just ends up being cost nothing for what, a 3/7 quest for 3. So it's and a bodyguard. So it's a threat on its own.
Just gotta play Medusa.
Yeah, I'll just like Medusa into my Steel Song deck. And that card's broken.
Yeah.
Another card that I really liked this weekend that kind of stood out to me was in Blue Steel. Visions of the Future was insane. I always really liked when we played Gaston in Blue Steel just because he came down on curve and like quested for 3. I really like this idea of giving like blue all these low cost actions that have effects of their high cost good characters. Like the Hideaway having like Kuzco, and then the Visions of the Future is kind of like a deeper Gaston. And he was really good this weekend because blue has always had to rely on like Hiram drawing into their outs or Wheeling drawing into their outs. Just looking at the top 5 cards of your deck is insane. And like just picking one.
Yeah, I mean, because you have like 13-ish ink a lot of times near the end of the game, and where, okay, great, I just need to draw into dime. Oh, that's the 5th card? Great, I'm just going to yoink that and dime for game. It's insane.
Yeah, and then 2 ink is just so insignificant. Yeah. Like,
yeah, see it early.
It was just absolutely insane. So I imagine, like, one thing I've always said, like, even as an avid Blue Steel player, is whenever I like play Blue Red, it feels like they're doing everything that we do but better. It's like, so I imagine the Visions of the Future in that deck just feels even crazier.
Yeah.
Like, I really need this card, this Big Sisu. Visions grabs Big Sisu, wipes a Steel Song player's board.
Yeah, man, I only
watching
play
my
a couple prep. Guess I can see it now.
Yeah.
It's like,
is it inkable too?
What, Visions of the
Future?
Yeah, it's
that card is just...
so they peach you and you just slap it in the inkwell. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, you see it early, you ink it, and then it's a late game card, even though it's a low ink cost. Like, and you just find what you need. Why draw 2 cards with Hiram when you can look at 5 for the one you need? So
That's one of those.
It's pretty nice.
That's one of those things I really like about these new blue actions is like a lot of times, like the reason Pete's like really, really good, you know, is like all the crazy actions tend to be like uninkable. And so you're just kind of sitting with these cards in your hand that you can't use. But like with the Hideaway and Visions of the Future, you get Pete and you're like, oh, sick. Inkwell.
Yeah. And then if you're playing Mufasa, they could end up back.
Grab it back. It's coming back later.
Pete
Mufasa?
was like not as impactful because of that. Because even with Blue Steel, because like I was like, I'd get Peted and then I'd be like Whole New World and like something else in my hand. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna throw this Whole New World in my Inkwell, like whatever. Especially because I feel like I played a lot of Steel Song and like they're willing me anyways. Like you can Pete me, like I don't give a shit. Like I'm gonna ink this Whole New World and move on with my day. Like Hiram, draw me 2 more cards. But I just feel like Pete's like been not as impactful as I thought he would.
For me, it's really been matchup dependent because it's against Red Blue where they're even leaning away from some Be Prepareds because they have Ice Block, they have Little Sisu, they have Big Sisu, they have Medusa. Some are potentially still running Tremaines. I didn't see any last weekend though. Double Maleficent Dragon. They have ways around it, so I Pete and then they're just doing all that to me and I just cry. But other matchups I found just wheeling into playing a Pete, like I don't have to worry about any other thing other than maybe rush characters from hand, but I can kind of see the path forward of my board sticking for a turn, and sometimes that's all you need. So I think it definitely has its place, but it's just like in other card games. I don't know if anyone else played Hearthstone, but it kind of reminded me of a card in Hearthstone called Lotheb that causes your opponent's cards to cost 5 more next turn, which essentially like locks them out from answering you because a lot of the things were high mana. I think it was in Hearthstone. Can't remember. But they couldn't play it. So it buys you a turn. So it's all about when you play it. Sometimes you play it and like you're going to kind of see some skill expression with it of when to Pete and when it's not going to do you any good playing a 3/3 that quests for 1.
Yeah. I feel like in the mirror match for Steel Song, it's like super relevant. Yeah. I just didn't find it as like relevant for me in Blue Steel. I ended up taking it out because I was like, it's kind of mid.
Yeah, you have a little bit more protection in there, and I think in Steel Song, who's trying to go more aggressive nowadays, you really don't want your board to get just completely wiped by like a Grab Your Swords or Be Prepared if they are running Be Prepared. If it's Red Purple, who's more board wipe central, they're not usually running the Sisus and they don't have ice blocks for your 3+ characters.
Yeah, a lot of people commented on the post. A thing that we all kind of came aware of this weekend, but Clarabelle was slept on, right?
Yeah.
Matt, I know you've got some thoughts on Clarabelle. You haven't talked for a few minutes.
Clarabelle I always thought was good because you just read it and it says draw a lot of cards. And then it just didn't really have a home. I think most people thought it would end up in Green Steel, but they kind of do the discard thing, which is not helping in Clarabelle. So Blue-Green was the perfect fit for it. And they just spit out their hand, ramping, and then draw up to however many you got and then play big things.
Yeah.
It's definitely shown in her value.
Absolutely. I was playing when I was playing Russell in the top 4. How many cards are in your hand becomes a much scarier question when you're balancing your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
Because they'll have like nothing on field, and then Russ goes cards in hand, and I'm like, God dang it! Like
he's doing that to me, and I was like, oh, 3, like it's chill. And then he's like, you're welcome. Muse this back to your hand, and he's like, oh, now I'll drop the 6, and I was like, right on.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how good the manipulation is because I was gonna lead like the Clarabelle talk also into your welcome. Your welcome's been crazy.
Very good.
Not only in the blue-green deck where obviously you want them to have more cards because you really don't care, but it's been really good in green-yellow too with like you're welcoming them up to 2 cards. you forgetting or discarding their 2 cards, drawing from Prince John. Like, You're Welcome's been really, really good as a green card.
I think that's one that like kept the hype. I feel like it was so hype in the pre-release, and then like it kind of like everybody was like, I don't know if I want to give my opponents like this draw power, and like now it's like everybody's like, this card is crazy. Like,
yeah. So it's like taboo in every other card game I've played to ever give cards to your opponents, but in this game specifically, it just seems to like really work out. Like in certain like metas, like Yzma was good at one point, right? And that's essentially just a song Yzma. And now we're seeing like it's just so good with Clarabelle, dude, and so good with the discard text. And it's inkable. Every green card is uninkable. Why is it?
Clarabelle. I think all 3 of the copies that came out of her, I think they're all inkable. And they're all good.
Welcome as well.
Yeah.
Is it one? Was it the 1 cost that has a kicker?
It banishes an item.
Which banishes an item or something like that. Yeah. So then you get a shift target on board for free, essentially, when you banish an item.
I think all of the cards that came out for Claire.
And then the 3 cost shift target is like if your opponent has more cards than you get to draw.
Yeah. It's just a ton of draw power. It was making me think of playing like a green purple Jafar, because like you're just drawing like infinitely.
I've seen the green purple Jafar with Clarabelle.
Yeah. I was thinking about that deck too, because I was like, you just draw like 6 cards at the end of your turn and gain, so you don't even need the whole new world anymore. Like, you just need Clarabelle.
Yeah. Interesting. Start of the right.
Go ahead, DJ.
I was just gonna say, sing start of the right. Then at end of turn, I gained the 5 lore there. Then at end of turn, how many cards in hand?
Yeah.
Just dump a bunch of things.
Another card that got a few comments that people have thought is overrated is the library. How have you guys felt about that card in the first week of the set?
Yeah, I kind of feel the overrated sense. It's just not better than the castle, and then you're like forced to play the whole package of small guys if you want to maximize the library, which is just not really the move at the moment.
Yeah.
Those small guys don't beat aggro.
I also feel like a lot of decks tech to get rid of castle, so your library's not sticking.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, red purple draws cards like crazy. They have so many things that are going to draw cards. At what point is kind of critical masses where you don't need to invest so much time and effort into drawing that many cards, whereas it's only 1 to move there, but at the same time, there are so many decks in the meta right now that are like, with Amber Steel being 1, more aggressive, where you don't want to just sit there and just draw cards or you're going to lose, and 2, they're going to probably wheel you as soon as you start drawing a bunch of cards. That's usually their game plan. And then the aggro decks, they don't care if you're drawing cards if you're dead. Like, we have Daisy Duck in the format, which is drawing oftentimes your opponent cards for you. So
as well. They just don't care how many cards you have.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a good card, but I think it's going to be very situational on when it is going to be useful.
I agree. Luca seemed to hold that sentiment too. The library wasn't very good in his testing on the that first day of that tournament. For me this weekend, locations never really seemed to be a problem because there was either location removal or crab in my deck. So they just all died. So they would like slap the library down and put a bunch of characters on it and be like, I'll kill that. And then I'll kill those.
Yeah. I also feel like people aren't gonna, like, especially with library, I don't think people are gonna want to challenge. They're not gonna challenge your characters first.
I'm literally not.
Yeah, like I'm not giving you extra cards. Like, I'll welcome you, but I'm not gonna challenge your 2 cards at the library to give you 2 extra cards. Like, but yeah, no, I'm
need this weekend is Adam like threw a Chernobog into one of my cards that was at the library to draw a card. That was cool. You like throw your own characters into it. I was like, yeah. That's neat.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're doing that, like, it's like mildly a desperation play. Like,
it's not a good sign if you're throwing your library characters. But I was like, if he was either gonna quest or draw a card, he gets damage and draw a card. Now that's cool.
Yeah.
And then one more we'll pick up.
Braden comments on the post. He's really liked the Emerald Anna. I know Matt didn't think that card had any legs when he first saw it. What do you think about that now, Matt? You still feel the same?
No, I like that card a lot now. I liked it in green yellow. It was real fun to keep looping with Muse, and then gives you like a way to out stuff in that deck that you don't really have with the damage way. I've seen it well in green purple. And yeah, I like the Ana. I was very down on it, but it is definitely a good card.
Yeah.
What's the effects again?
It is each opponent chooses and discards a card. Chosen character gets +2 strength this turn. Banish chosen damaged character. So like she essentially ends up becoming a 5-drop, 5-cost Dragonfire for a damaged character that has a body 2/3 quest for 2. You're almost never playing 3/4 unless it's a really bad time.
Yeah.
But I do like that it's an uninkable character that has options. So it's not one of those pigeonholed niche scenario uninkables that's like, otherwise that's going to be sitting in my hand. I mean, use the value when you can, I feel like is going to be the name of the game with that card. If it's, okay, I don't have any characters that would benefit from +2 strength. They don't have a damage character. I'm just going to play it as a 5-drop, 2/3, 2 lore, and you discard a card, and maybe I Prince John out or something. So just take the value that you can with her.
This sounds like a good way to get rid of Mufasa.
Yeah, I think that card is really good, and that we're like challenging like a little more now. At least in like this format, I've seen like I've ended the board with some damage characters, and so them just dropping Ring the Bell on legs has been like kind of shocking a few times. Where I'm like, they can't kill my board. Oh, this has 1 damage on it. It's dead now. That's unfortunate. So that's been pretty sick for me. Let's see.
I feel like with the more challenging, it's kind of crazy that I haven't seen more like of like the Robin Hood. Like I also heard that like it just wasn't that good. Like I heard some people that built it and they played it and it was just bad.
Yeah, some people
it's just
talked
really slow,
about that in the post too. They really like the idea of like the Robin Hood Sherwood Forest deck, but it just hasn't come to fruition. Like it ended up being more like a theme deck than a meta deck.
Yeah.
Which is like unfortunate because those cards all seemed really cool.
Yeah, they all seemed really good. I think it's just like too slow too for the current meta.
Let's see.
They're bringing out a lot of like 1 character theme decks like Pete, the Queen, Robin Hood, Maleficent, yeah.
I'm really excited to see the next few sets because I think it's gonna round out like really well with like a lot of the theme stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. I feel like they're kind of gonna take this Shimmering Skies set as it's supposed to be a celebration after Ursula being taken down, and I think right now they have a lot of plotting with the villains to have another villain arc.
I think it's the lore has gotten really cool with this game.
Yeah, I know.
Have you guys seen them posting the pictures on their Instagram?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have space for the story text. I've been like diving into that. Like it's really good.
Yeah, we knew that this was gonna happen with the cards getting like longer. Like some of these cards actually like have bricks of text like Yu-Gi-Oh now.
Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah.
But I'm here for it. I do like they posted like the Robin Hood like on top of the roof one. I thought that was really cool. He's like it reminded me a lot of Sly Cooper. Like he's like kind of like going around the party, doing his own thing. I thought that was cool. Another card that we got a few comments on. Some people are saying Naveen was underrated, and some people are saying Naveen has been overhyped. Where do my 2 Steel Song players feel on this guy?
You want to start, Matt?
So I was playing No Naveen at first for Daisies. It was like a Wochuck's build, and I liked that one a lot. It didn't feel like we needed Naveen, and it was playing for Gaston, which I understand because like wheeling with Gaston on 4 is a lot better than wheeling with Naveen on 4 because you still get your ink. But then I played RMB's list with 2 Naveens, and I really liked Naveen. There was one game where I had them both early and he was kind of dead, but besides that, he always like let you diversify like how you were gonna do your things. And I thought you would only end up playing him with Wheel, but I played him with Bear and Zeus and like a lot of other stuff, or put him on board for my 5th character to strength something for 5, which is also nice.
No, that's kind of my sentiment with him as well. I played him at a 2 of, and yeah, you don't need him to sing Wheel. He's a nice out if you don't have any shift targets, your aerial gets brawled, something like that. So yes, you can cast Wheel with him, but just again, kind of like I was mentioning with the Ohana, you take the value. You're getting more than 4 ink worth with him, and don't be afraid to just play him if that is your only turn 4 play and you're going aggressive. He's still a 3/3 that quests for 2 and threatens Singer 6 next turn. So if you're not worried about anything ripping out your songs or any hand manipulation discard, then maybe you play him and you're like, I'll cast my song next turn with him. Yeah, sometimes be a little greedy, but you just have to be smart with it.
He also feels good in the green-yellow. The Singer 6 was nice for underneath. Then I played him. I had a play where I had 7 ink. I played Ariel, found Bruno. I think I had to ink to get to 7, and then I was able to play Naveen and play the Bruno for free, and that's the only reason I won the game.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, he's also pretty good at the math, like with the math on Under the Sea with Singer 6. You know, you only need a 2-drop to sing with him.
Yeah, there was a couple times I just played him on 4 with no song, just so I could have my Singer 6 and have my 2-drop and threaten them.
Yeah. I imagine just most people aren't going to probably deal with your, like, if you Ursula it on 2 or something, the 1/3, most people are going to leave that alone, and then that's your 8 right there.
Yeah.
1/3 Ursula's a menace.
Yeah, absolutely.
1/3 Ursula's a menace.
I also like in my Steel Song matchup in Swiss, like playing Blue Steel. I got into one of those scenarios, you know, where you kind of in the deck and the mirror. A lot of times you don't want to wheel each other. You kind of just want to out card advantage each other. So I got into one of those scenarios where I was like really digging with Hiram and building my board advantage. And I was like, he loses the game unless the 2 cards in his hand are Naveen and Wheel. And then they were Naveen and Wheel, and I got bodied. It was so unfortunate.
Feels bad.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They always have it.
Another one that I really, really like this set, and I'm so glad that it exists because it brings back one of the best cards in Lorcana, is the new 5-drop Inkable Elsa. She has 3 good effects. She has Rush, she taps a creature, and she's evasive. So we're killing Diablo, which is sick.
Not a good
She's an absolute unit with Crab, a 5/5, like that's going in with anything. That was really good in Blurple this weekend. Effects that we've only seen a few of in the past few sets that I think are really, really good in Lorcana are tapping down effects and attacking standing creature effects. So having her has just been really, really, really good this set, especially with a lot of the things we want to make sure they get their value this set, namely like Mufasa and Daisy. Like they need to survive to get like max value. Like this gives you an opportunity to make them not do that.
Yeah, no, she definitely seems to have a lot, and they've printed a lot of Exert chosen character in purple before, but they've always been on really poorly statted characters, uninkable, to where you're essentially playing an action at that point for the most part to do that, and it's uninkable, so it's situational. And now Elsa is a 5-drop that is inkable, and she not only exerts, but then she's not like Pinocchio where you exert something, but you need another character to then rush into it. She's like, I'm going to do it myself. So she just does it all. And then it's like, oh, if they have evasive, I'm also evasive. Got it, coach. So then, and then you have a great shift target on the next turn because she's evasive and may not get exerted. And so I'd been playing around with a little bit of, apologize, I forgot his name. It starts with a J. I'm terrible with names. But that won the, and it may not start with a J, won the Atlanta Challenge with yellow purple. playing around a little bit with the Elsa shift line with the 5-drop into the 6-drop, and then you just end up just bouncing her and exerting everything.
It's crazy.
You talking about the guy who won the first challenge?
Yeah, the Atlanta challenge.
I think his name is Joshua Paltry.
Yep, that's it. I apologize, Joshua, if you're obviously watching this, because who's not watching this?
Yeah, who is it? Everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the bouncing of it, especially when you're in like Blurple and you're comboing it with Mufasa. Like you get to play, rush, kill something, like untap them, shift it on the thing that the Elsa that you attacked with that turn, freeze 2 things. You can have extra ink over after that if you're at 9. Like bounce it with a Foxy. It's just crazy. Looping Elsa is really fun in this format.
Yeah, I love when cards like have the big shift target to just threaten. Like most people aren't playing it, but just to keep people honest and thinking about what could happen.
And just Spirit of Winter, the OG Elsa, like bring people back to the nostalgia of
really,
red purple.
Really nice in Blurple. I had a game where I got to bounce it and play it 3 times in a row against Song.
Oh, that's disgusting. I've had that happen.
He was like at 15, and I was like, I'm just these daisies are.
I'm putting flutes back in my deck. I don't need characters. That's what I've learned.
Speaking
we can get rid of your flutes now. You're never getting them back.
Yeah.
Speaking of flutes with characters, one guy in this post said that the Alan Adale card has been very underrated. What do my Steel Song players think of that?
I've seen it get some love. It seems quite slow for a 4-cost character. There's a 2/3. Can't imagine he's sticking for that long. I mean, I guess he's good into like a Blurple kind of matchup where your removal is not as relevant, but I feel like the flute is just always better.
Yeah, no, there's too much red going around right now that if he was a 3/3 for 4, like Naveen, I mean, I think he has a lot more legs, but just at 2/3, he's getting removed by very small steel cards. He's getting removed by a lot of red cards, Brawl, Medusa, everything. So, yeah, I guess he eats up one of their removals, but usually they have quite a bit.
I like the Queen Sensor Core. I thought that card was going to be better and see more play and kind of be the new flute, but I guess it's not as good as I imagined.
Is that the start of your turn?
Yeah, if you have a princess or queen at the start of your turn, you gain a lore, and then you can tap it to pay 1 to reveal the top card of your deck if it's a princess or queen put in your hand.
Yeah, it's a little passive lore, and also you get to Twilight Bark at them. It's pretty cool.
I feel like that deck that Michael built, that red.
Here. The Queen Sensor Core, I'm pretty sure goes back on top if it's not a queen or princess, which is also
so.
Yeah, it's 2 ink.
And then reveal the top card if it's a princess. Oh, I was saying that Michael's deck that he built, the princess queen deck that he built, was actually like really good. I think he just didn't know how to play it yet, but like Luca like swept me so quick when he played his deck. I was like, because he can just like you can just go so fast, and like a lot of the queens and the princesses are like 1/2 drops. So you're just like
spamming. A lot of the issue with that deck seemed to be like sometimes like with you like 1, it needed their characters to be exerted, and 2, like if their characters slapped back, it was like not a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we could like combine it with like something that like shrinks or like some purple cards so we could like tap it down and rush into them in the same turn or something. It might be cool, but then you lose a lot of the princesses from yellow. I don't know. There's something that works with that deck for sure, though. I really like the Sugar Rush cards.
Yeah. I think he thought about making like a villains version, because like the Queen of Hearts and Amber is a villain, and it like gives extra lore to like your other villain character.
Yeah, I played Wochuck's Red Purple Racer list, like with Taffeta and the Sugar Rush Speedway, and that was a fun deck. It seemed to be all right into aggro.
I'm a big fan of the Speedway. Any location that you can move to for free I feel like has some kind of merit. But you know, it has to have an effect, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this card does, but there's actually a few comments about Minnie Mouse Drum Major. Does anyone know what that card does?
That's the one where if you
Is
shift
that the red one?
now it's yellow. If
Yeah.
you shift it in, you get to take a card from your deck and put it on the top of your deck.
Oh,
Or
that's the one that they were
specifically a
talking about, like
character.
tutoring with Mufasa. I remember when
Yeah.
that revealed. What do you guys think
I
about
found
that
it'd be
card?
good with wheel.
Oh, with Wheel, yeah.
Well, you have to. You can only search your deck for a character card.
Yeah.
Reveal it, and then put that card on the top. And it's shift 4 for a 5-cost inkable 4/4 quest for 2. We think of shift targets. I mean, there are plenty of Minnie Mouses,
Tons.
Minnie Mice,
Ton of Minnie Mice.
Minnie Mice. It's just a matter of which one is good enough to be an extra 3 to 4 slots in the deck because you're wanting to use it for the shift. So I haven't seen it. I'm always open to being surprised by it and bopped by it, but
I think that card. I mean, I know someone has said this before, but that card would be significantly better if it was on play or on shift. Having to shift cards is always like feels bad.
I can see it like in Mufasa because the good minis are red. And I get the 1-drop and the Surfer mini, so you just have better shift targets. I haven't actually seen it in any lists or played yet.
What do you guys think about the new legendary Robin Hood, the red one? That's a card that like some people seem like really hyped for on reveal, and then it kind of like really like pittered out because it like was determined to be like slow. But now I've seen like several lists like just today of red green like popping back up with like Dragon's Fire and actions and the Robin Hood. Like, do you guys have any thoughts on that card?
I've seen that list. I feel like that card is not that good, especially just because you have to play so many, like change a big portion of your deck to make it work. I know Will was talking about doing a red, yellow Mufasa Robin Hood and just trying to get all the crazy triggers, I guess, but that seems like they would not work together.
Yeah, I was gonna say I also wanted to do kind of a red yellow because you can do some things like you need enough actions for it to proc sometimes. I mean, how many times do we miss with Ariel having 20 songs in a 60 card deck? So, I mean, if you only have like 8 to 10 actions in a Mufasa deck, which is already pushing it for non-characters, I mean, you're most likely missing. But I mean, it's fueling your Churnabogs, I guess. Just run 4 Churnabogs, something like that.
Yeah,
but no, I think I love the card and I really wanted to play it. But at 4 costs, uninkable, it's a 1/4, and getting killed by red blue all last weekend, and all of it being things that would take out Robin Hood on curve. Like, I mean, just the little Sisu is going to do it with 1 health. Like, it needs something when it enters the battlefield. It needs to survive a turn, which maybe it finds in that red green list by using the Sherwood Forest, which gives it ward and it can move there for free.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the only. I don't want to say the only, but I feel like that's like the only way that card like lives to even quest for a turn.
Yeah, because you're gonna Zeus it, you're gonna brawl it.
Because I wanted to play it in Red Steel, but then I was like, oh, it's a 1/4. It's dead as soon as I play it. Like it's over. So it needs to have the Sherwood Forest ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it falls into the category of like the Blue Sisu and the first Snow White. If it was on play, opposed to just questing, it could be good and playable, but it's too slow.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about this? Is a card that I liked, but I haven't been able to play because I don't play any of the decks you could probably play him in. But there's a couple comments about the new Doc Knight, the one that draws you 2 cards and discards your hand. He said that it's been really good. Turbo Stomp from Team Mexico. Shout out to Team Mexico. I played against him on Seal Song this past weekend when I was playing Blurple. There were 2 times where he ripped Doc and just drew 2 cards, like with pretty much nothing. And it was
Feels
like pretty
good.
frustrating because he hit me with the old, oh, and I only play 2. So you know he was drawing both.
Yeah,
I think the card is good.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people talk about it with like some really aggressive purple steel lists. Just completely go
Bouncing and replaying, Doc.
Yeah.
I've seen some people talk about that.
and then you're just infinite value there. And yeah, if you can get under a lot of these slower control decks that are, still able to deal with Steel Song, which is not aggressive enough for the red blue list just yet. I think Purple Steel has been proven to be able to go fast and low to the ground. So yeah, I haven't seen him yet, but I'm sure I will.
Yeah, I like that Doc card. Haven't got to try him out yet. I feel like Purple Steel is probably his best home. I've seen Wonderland talk about it a lot in Purple Steel and in Amber Steel. I don't know how much I believe in it in Amber Steel, but I've seen it in a few lists. It's definitely something I want to try.
What you think about Doc Tanya?
I like it. I think I said this whenever it got revealed. I was like, oh, finally, like a steel card that lets you like just draw cards. And then everybody pointed out that you're like discarding, and I was like, this is a whole new world on legs. Like, obviously you're only drawing 2 cards, but like you can discard nothing.
Yeah, no, it's like the option to discard nothing is there, whereas with all the other cards before, it was draw discard.
Yeah,
like the little Simba.
It's so bad. I hate steel for that. It's just...
It'd be nice to.
There's some combos
Doc.
Of discarding. Like if you have like, if you're running Sheriff of Nottingham or something, whenever you discard, just discard your hand and just
like
ping everything.
Or pinging everything, yeah.
Like, oh, these 2 cards are trash. I'm gonna play this. Discard 2, ping 2, draw 2.
It's my anti-Clarabelle tick.
Yeah.
One card that I was really hyped about the moment it got released, like I was like, oh, I wasn't very excited for this set until I saw this card, was the 1-drop inkable purple Cogsworth. And that card seems to not have made much of a splash this weekend. Yeah. It's I saw people play it. I saw people test it. I saw Kendall like accidentally had to play it in a tournament because he like didn't have a 4th broom, and so he played a Cogsworth instead. It came up like 1 time, and I was like, man, that is so rough. Because when I read that, I was like, this is insane. This plus Crab is insane.
It's kind of surprising that the Blurple deck doesn't play it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The fact that it can't even make it into Blurple is rough.
Yeah, it's mid. I think it'll have its day later, but I think that like, I don't know, right now the meta is like so different than from where I think everybody thought it would be. Like aggro being as dominant as it is right now, like since like what is it, green steel's gone, that green yellow aggro deck is very annoying. And then like the purple yellow is also just like, they're both just, I don't know, I think Cogsworth just like doesn't matter in those like right now, I guess.
Yeah, he competes with a lot of other 1-drops in the deck, and that kind of dilutes your deck because at the end of the day it's another slot, and you're not usually playing him by himself as an impactful card, so he needs a partner, whether that's another character from hand, which then you're playing 2 characters to deal with probably 1 threat, and then Cogsworth's not doing much after it unless you're bouncing it. But then again, he always has to be paired with something else that's coming onto the field that turn to be relevant. I think he would have done well in earlier sets when we had less to work with. But yeah, right now I think he's being outshined.
Yeah, I feel like the 5-drop Elsa is just kind of taking the spot we thought the cards would do.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
That's absolutely fair. Have you guys seen those like infinite Facilier Cogsworth combos where you like OTK your opponent?
I've seen that.
I've not seen that.
You like set up like pretty much infinite, like you play Cogsworth for free with like Pride Lands and Simba or whatever, and you like throw him into a thing and he dies and Facilier brings him back and you play him again.
Oh my gosh.
With Shere Khan and Imperial Proclamation.
Oh, yeah.
Continuously play them back for 1 for free, and if the opponent has something with resist, you just win.
It's so funny.
What in the? People are wild.
I
That's
always
actually kind
love
of crazy.
I love the weird combos that like, because this game just feels like we don't have like crazy combos. So whenever someone finds some silly thing like that, I love it. Like there's like a couple sets ago when like the painting Rapunzel and like the move damage queen found like the combo where you can just like move your whole field of damage to them. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, the ping
Oh.
beast to ready him and quest
Yeah.
again. It feels a lot like that one where and
Bruce
like
got me with that.
Oh, I did that
Whenever
to several people.
Oh my
I did that
gosh.
to several people. I was like, yeah,
Just
I'm
let
at
the
20,
mice
by the
sit
way.
there.
a steel Chromacon.
Just
Get a bunch of those.
crazy.
One card that we were talking about while we were waiting on Matt to get home, that is in the chat or in the description here, says that Maximus. We were talking about Maximus a little bit. You want to start off, Tanya?
I love Maximus. I've loved Maximus since set 1 with the Amber one. But I was with obviously Red Steel. I was trying to like text something, and we were talking before we started recording, and like pairing was it the Chromacons with like anything, and then like you can do medallion weights, the Maui fish hook, and just like hit like proc the effect of Maximus to gain like a quick 5 lore. Oh
I like Maximus a lot from reveal. I thought it would see more play. I see it's making its way into red yellow, which is nice with Gaston. I just feel like a card
Yeah,
that
Sounds crazy.
I got a good home there because you got a lot of big characters.
yeah, or like a card that just says you gain 5 lore at the end of the turn. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think
What's
the
his
main
stats?
goal
Is he a 5/6?
3/5.
3/5, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a 6-cost inkable 3/5 quest for 2. I think the way to look at him, the way I'm looking at him is I would always want to get value on the turn I play him, because then even if he requires soaking up a removal the next turn, because my deck's probably built around kind of getting things to that 5 cost or 5 strength or 10 strength threshold. So if I get that 2 lore and then they Medusa it, they Zeus it, I still got 2 lore out of it, and you had to spend your turn doing that. So otherwise, it would feel pretty bad to spend 6 ink, play him, not get value on the turn he's played, and then him die.
I think I think the big thing with him is when I was at Gen Con, I was talking to one of my opponents during one of the drafts I did. I was talking to her about me wanting to build a red steel list. And she was like, oh, like I am actually doing the same thing. And I was like, oh yeah. And her whole concept, which is my same concept, is like, you're not questing. Like your goal is not to quest. Your goal is to gain lore through a challenging. So like with Snuggly Duckling or with Thebes or Thebes.
Yeah, Thebes.
Whatever.
Thebes.
Whatever. And then like the Maximus just like adds to that. Like you're and then like you play the Shirkan, and then you play like Flynn's and stuff. So like your goal is not to quest to gain lore. Your goal is to challenge everything and gain your lore.
Yeah, I think it does
Maximus
well.
like adds a lot.
Yeah, that does really well into like all the more offensive decks that want to turn their thing sideways. I think the thing it would essentially struggle against is needing an alternative win con against red-blue, and those things that are like, I don't care to get even a single lore until I'm going to quest and dime for 20.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to have something else in the pocket, maybe even some locations, since they struggle to deal with locations.
Yeah.
I feel like it's untapped in red-blue, the Maximus, because blue has all the support, which will make it easier to get to 10 to trigger.
Alice.
I was literally okay. I was also building an Alice support with Maximus, and I think Corey was like, "You're insane." I've been wanting Alice to be good for so long, and she's just not. But I think her time is coming, guys.
Her time is coming because you're gonna drop Sheriff and then drop Alice, and then Sheriff Quest give her all that attack.
Oh, dude, I can't believe I love that Sheriff of Nottingham is the support character. So good.
He's just like a unit that randomly has like the blue effect. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, what effect do blue cards have? Oh, support. Let's give it that.
Yeah.
We don't want this to be a pseudo vanilla.
Yeah. Even if he didn't have support, like Alice just was like, okay, just kidding, you'll have it anyways. Like, and with
Yeah.
Mufasa too. Like, imagine playing Mufasa and Sheriff of Nottingham. Alice.
Another card that I really wanted to talk about is that this person said has been working really well for them. And I hope that that's the case, and I hope it makes its way into the meta, is the Shift Merlin. I haven't seen any of it this weekend. I really want it to come into the meta because it's the first card that just like searches anything in the game. That should be insane. If Visions of the Future is really good, obviously they're two very different cards. One's a 2-drop inkable and one's a shift character. But like seeing your deck is crazy in a game where until now it's really just been drawing cards.
Yeah. Isn't his effect also though like you have to shift for his effect to prime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could just cast them. I hate these effects like the always.
Yeah, like
I'm
let
not
me
a fan.
change that.
That is my
Merlin has so much potential, but like it's just like the shift. He doesn't have a ton of shift targets, does he? Like unless you're playing Blurple.
Yeah, like
Right.
not good ones.
That's the combo you're going to be playing. And then if that's the combo you're playing, what high impact card are you really searching for?
Exactly.
Yeah, so like there's not many cards that are going to be like, I put all this work into shifting this Merlin that I'm now not going to get the exit the battlefield effect of, like, whether it be drawing a card or whatnot. And now I search for this one card that doesn't advance my board state that much in the game.
The only thing I can think of is like in Blurple specifically, like I was talking about at the beginning of the term, is they kind of suffer from not having that hard removal. And so if you are shifting Merlin, you can in theory like grab Let It Go and then sing it with the Merlin. And that's like pretty powerful, but it's still not insane.
Yeah, because at the same time you're, drawing enough cards to where you can probably just play Let It Go. And Let It Go is inkable and you can run multiple copies and not be punished for it. Whereas I feel like Merlin would be looking for, hey, that one card that I tech for this matchup, you have just a one-off for certain matchups. I'm going to look for that card, grab it, and kind of give me the leg up against that deck.
We've talked before about how like the lack of side deck in this game, like they've kind of made all the tech cards like inkable for the most part, and so you kind of like put them in your main deck for that. So that kind of like really works, especially if like we can get some different Merlin shift targets. He'll be able to like tutor out those really like sick tech cards and those bombs in certain matchups. That's a future I look forward to having.
I want more. I think I would just really want more blue Merlin targets. So that I can play blue in something. Because like I like purple, but I'm not playing. Yeah. I'm not spending the money on another playset of the Mim package. Because like most purple decks are playing the bounce package. Like it's like a mandatory. 16 cards or whatever.
Color.
Yeah, that's one of people's complaints. I have no problems with it because I honestly really, really like those cards. But some people complain about the fact that anytime you see purple or those cards, you're like, a third of the deck already, and it like takes away from deck building. DJ raising his hand. I don't care. I'm a big fan of those cards. I honestly think they might be my favorite cards in the game because of the way that they're designed. I think is like good card design. And besides the fact that Fox Mim is overstated as heck.
Yeah.
Besides that.
Yeah. I mean, they're really good cards, and I think that's why I think it limits. I'm on the bandwagon of limiting kind of deck building choices, because if you're playing purple, it's almost like assumed that you're going to be playing some form of the bounce package, whether or not you're playing certain ones like Crab is, depending on the deck you're playing. But, I mean, it's just so good. I mean, bouncing, like Snakes, I know, like some decks don't play Snake, but like Fox, it's just amazing.
Fox is a mandatory 4-out.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It has Rush 4/3 inkable.
If we even get to a stage of like power creep where let's say you play 0 of the Merlin cards, I think that you will still have some amount of the Mim cards in your deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
At least the fox and the rabbit. Those are
Rabbit,
like.
bro. If they power creep rabbit.
I was gonna say we're gonna get a crazy rabbit. Like when it comes into play, you draw 2 cards. When it dies, you draw 2 cards.
That'd be insane.
It's gonna be a 1-cost inkable.
Oh god.
5/5.
Now we're talking.
One card that is like kind of high up there that will probably get flack in the comments if we don't talk about it all is, I mean, we've mentioned it slightly, but we haven't really talked about it, is Daisy. Daisy's been really good, obviously, in aggro decks, but I think being across the table from it this week, where it felt craziest was in Steel Song. Like when my opponents were like doing their things and then having daisies on the side, I was like, this is a problem because I have to choose whether or not to slow you down or deal with your singers, and that's rough.
Yeah.
The fact that she's statted 1/4 is insane because you are not just killing her like with a song, like unless I'm Zeusing her, which that feels great, but like I have to get to turn 4.
A 1-drop.
Like Zeusing the 1-drop like is crazy. Like,
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting card, and I think it is a well-made card to be uninkable, and to be a well-made strong card for the meta, because you're giving your opponents a lot of times another card, and sometimes they're, I quested with my Daisy and it got an impactful song or item that went to the bottom of their deck. Like if I saw Dime, I'm like, oh heck yeah, we know a Dime's at the bottom of the deck against blue. But at the same time, even if it draws them a character, I don't usually care, but sometimes it gets them 1 card closer to that grab your sword or something like that, that they're going to end up drawing that they wouldn't have drawn otherwise. But again, you never know. The deck is completely random cards, so it's just as likely to be that next card as it is the card after. So you kind of just have to quest away with it. And then, the ideal is to wheel them away, which feels really bad against red-blue, who's going to ink all their cards and be like, all right, I'm ready for the wheel now.
Yeah, wheel me.
I thought it was going to be a long time before we got a 1/4 that quested for 2 on turn 1, personally. But I think that I would call Daisy the Diablo of this set, and the fact that like everyone has to tech their deck for it, and like it warps it in that way. Like the first couple turns of the game are defined by this card in this set a lot of the times, which is very similar to Diablo in that way. And like last set, we were, having to play Brawls and Babooms and Fire the Cannons. Now we're playing like Rafikis and Chromacons, and people are testing the new Simba and the Gaston, and like just any way to kill the card before it quests for like 6.
Yeah.
What
you think about Daisy, Matt?
I think Daisy's really good, obviously. I do think Song is her best home, because giving them cards and then wheeling is obviously amazing, and then putting, like, I got to put dimes and B-preps on the bottom, and I was like, oh, this is so great. But I've also put, like, the uninkable Sisu or, like, Fox in their hand, like, on curve to, like, have them just answer, and I was like, well, that kind of sucked. It's the double-edged sword of the aggro card. I can't decide if I feel like it's fair or they should have maybe went 1/3 or something else beforehand, going straight to the 1/4. But I guess it's fine. Like if it's the only one, if there starts being like 1/4 quest for 2s in like every color, I think we'll have a problem.
Nah, give us all 1.
Are there any cards burning on your guys' mind that we didn't talk about? One that pops out of my mind, like right as I said it, that I don't think we need to talk about very much, that I think was very overhyped, was Gaston, like the red one.
He's just so cool. I wish he wasn't enchanted.
Cool. He's got the biggest chin on the planet, but
I'm playing him in a red steel. You guys are gonna see me slap him down. You're not gonna know what to do with yourself.
I
Be
saw
prepping away.
Kristoff this weekend.
Yeah, DJ's DJ's been haunted by Kristoff in his dreams recently.
Are you guys gonna play Kristoff? Are you gonna tech him in your Steel Song?
I don't think so. Right now it's too low to the ground, and he would be a liability of just
Yeah, he
working.
can be a brick.
That's true.
But he
You
does
guys
turn
already
on
have
pretty
enough
quick.
uninkables.
Yeah.
This isn't a card, but it was mentioned several times, and I thought it was a good way to kind of finish the podcast. One of the things that people really talked about they enjoyed in the set is the art. They said that it was probably the best and
Yes.
the best we've seen so far. What do you guys think about the art of the set?
Very much
I like the Enchanteds. I think the design is a lot better than past sets. I love the new text box. The bright firework colors was real pretty after the dark contrast set of last set.
Yeah. I didn't like
Shimmering
last sets.
Skies. You didn't like
People
Ursula's
hate-
Cauldron?
A lot of people hate on last sets because they say they seem so muddy. But I once I knew that, I was like, this
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah, it's because it's just Ursula's Cauldron. Like, you're seeing everything through Ursula's
Because
Yeah.
it's like Robin Hood and Clarabelle that I don't feel like are the chasest, prettiest ones are like really nice and colorful. And there's like a
Yeah,
lot going on.
I do really like how vibrant the cards are this set. Like the King Candy being like so pink is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
There you're
I love the
welcome, like
Mufasa.
an extremely bright green. The blue on the Mufasa is gorgeous. Like
nice.
all the cards really, really pop. And I like
I
the
like-
foiling being the
Yeah.
fireworks style, like Matt said.
And that's why the Vanellope one is my favorite because the card is like gold and you can just really tell it's a Amber Enchanted.
Yeah. No, I
I
really
also
like,
really like the embossing they did on all the legendaries this time.
yeah.
Because it made
Oh,
the
yeah.
foil pop so well. And it looked
Yeah, no,
it
the
just
Anna
so
looks crazy. And
Yeah.
the Nadine looks really good when they're foil. Yeah.
Wow.
They look so nice.
I don't know if I'm sold on the legendary thing yet, but it's better than I thought for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't as I say odd like I thought it was going to be. It was overall like you can tell, but it was subtle enough. But I will say sometimes I couldn't even tell if my legendary was foil or not because there's that shine from
embossing?
yeah.
I'm
embossing.
not crazy about the lighter dark gray border that legendaries now have, like because of the embossing, and you can just tell right away if it's a legendary when you're opening a pack.
I don't think I knew that. Well,
Yeah,
I like,
no,
I like how much the Anna pops on her card.
Yeah.
Like, specifically, it's so noticeable on that one and the Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
some of the other
the
cards, like they kind of like mutes into it a little bit, but those really pop on there.
and Mufasa.
I think the genie is honestly my favorite, just because
The genie does
like,
look really good.
they gave like all of the art like around him, the embossing too, so it like really pops off the card, which looks nice.
Absolutely. Well, are there any last minute things you guys want to talk about? Nope. All right. Well, then, as always, guys, thank you for joining us for the episode 4 of the Ohanacast. Make sure to check us out on all of our socials: YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. I think I already said YouTube, but we're literally on everything. Check us out on Facebook. That's the biggest one, and it has our link tree, and all of the links are on there. And check us out. Text us. We will be in the 10K. Come up and say hi, talk to us, chat with us. We're really excited to make some content down in Atlanta. And we look forward to the next several weeks of content with Ohana and Set 5.
Oh, and we are working on map for the public. So
It looks really
comment
good.
down below. Yeah, comment down below if you'd like a map. We will hopefully be posting the design and taking pre-orders in the next few weeks. I just need to finalize everything. Yeah, so we're gonna go now. Bye, guys.
Uh,
All right.